Welcome to this short course that will show you how to use ASP.NET, Razor Pages, and Blazor to create your web applications. Now, Microsoft provides a choice of tools for ASP.NET core development, which are Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, which are different. So Visual Studio is the traditional development environment for .NET applications, and it offers an enormous range of tools and features for developing all different kinds of applications. It is a full-featured IDE, but it is also resource intensive and can be slow, and some of the features we won't be using in this course. Now, Visual Studio Code is a lightweight alternative, and it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles that Visual Studio has, but it is perfectly capable of handling ASP.NET core development. All right, so we will be setting up our development environment. We're going to download the community version of Visual Studio, and you can get that at visualstudio.microsoft.com, and click on the free Visual Studio button in the menu and click on the free download, and this will begin the download of that Visual Studio setup. Now I'm going to run this, and here it's letting us know that before we get started we need to set up a few things so that we can configure our installation. So let's click on continue, and once we click on continue we get this screen, and we will be using the ASP.NET and web development workload. So we want to go ahead and check this box. Also scroll down and check the data storage and processing workload as well. So we'll be installing both of these for our .NET Core development. And one thing to confirm before we click on install, let's click on the individual components tab and scroll down to this section that says SQL Server Express 2019 local DB, and you just want to ensure that this is checked. And this is just a lightweight version of the SQL Server Express, which we'll also be downloading here shortly. So let's click on install, and this will take a little while to complete. So while this is downloading, let's also go ahead and download some of the other tools. So we can go to code.visualstudio.com, and you can download the Visual Studio Code that matches the machine that you're using. I'm using a Windows environment, so I'll go ahead and click on Windows x64 download, and we'll just let that download in the background. Next, we're going to need our SQL Server, and at the time of this recording, it is SQL Server 2019. There is a 2022 version, but it's currently in preview, so we'll not be using that one. We'll be sticking to the 2019 version. So go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to download the Express version. So SQL Server 2019 Express is a free edition of SQL Server, and it is ideal for development and production for desktop, web, and small server applications. So click on download now. Once Visual Studio has completed downloading, you'll see this sign-in screen. Now you can go ahead and create a free user account and sign into Visual Studio. However, I'm going to click on not now, maybe later, and I'm going to choose a general color theme. So I'm going to stick with the dark theme and click on Start Visual Studio, and then it will take us to this screen. So before we create a new project, let's install the other tools that we'll be using. Next, let us install Visual Studio Code or VS Code. So first, you'll want to accept the agreement and click on Next, and ensure that this box is checked. You'll want to add the path, and this will require a shell restart. So click on Next. So I already have Visual Studio Code installed, so you can go ahead and finish up the installation. So I'll just click on Cancel. And once the installation is completed, you'll be taken to this Get Started screen. And you can go ahead and do the walkthrough, which will simply show you around the editor, and you can set it up and customize it. and personalize it to meet your needs. And we'll be installing some plugins that will help us with our development here shortly. All right, so the next thing we're going to install is SQL 2019. And when it opens up, we'll be able to select an installation type, basic, custom. And I'm going to select the custom installation and click on install. And while this is installing, there's one more thing that we'll need. We need our .NET Core SDK package. So you can navigate to .net.microsoft.com. And at the time of this recording, it is at version 6.0. So click on download .NET SDK. And on the download page, it lets us know that this release is only compatible with Visual Studio 2022. So ensure if you're using the .NET Core version 6 SDK that you are also using the 2022 version of Visual Studio. So we can go ahead and close this installer. And what you can also go ahead and do is open up your command prompt. So type cmd, or you can also open up PowerShell. So I'm going to open up Windows PowerShell and click on run as administrator. And I'm going to test to ensure that the correct version of our .NET SDK is installed. So let's go ahead and open that installation package and click on install, and the installation was successful. So to check to ensure that the installation is showing up on your system, we can type .NET space --list and -SDKs and hit enter. And this lets us know that version 6.0 is installed to our machine. And I'm going to go ahead and edit the properties of my PowerShell to increase the font. So we can right click on the taskbar, click on properties, and I'm going to increase the font to 20 so that it's more readable. All right, so now we're ready to install our SQL Server. So first we're going to click on this option here, New SQL Server, Standalone Instance. Let's click on that. And you can go ahead and accept the license terms and click on next. And we'll check this box to allow Microsoft to check for updates. Click on next. So now it's going to install some setup files. Once that is complete, we're going to click on next. And here we get to select the packages that we want to install with our SQL Server. Now I'm going to go ahead and deselect the R and the Python extensions because these features will not be used in this course and they will take a very long time to download and install. So uncheck the R and Python options and click on next. And I'm going to leave everything as is and click on next. Again, click on next. And now this takes us to the database engine configuration. And we'll leave everything as is. We'll authenticate with Windows. Click on next, and we'll allow this to install. Once you've completed installing everything, you'll want to go ahead and reboot your machine. So I'll go ahead and reboot my machine and I'll meet you back here.